It is a distinct honor and a genuine pleasure on behalf of the Edwin Edwards family, including his wife Trina, to welcome you to this once-in-a-lifetime historic event. This will be a memorable occasion to honor a person who has been an outstanding public service, always a wonderful gentleman, a jolly good fella, and a good friend. When we first started planning this event, Governor Edwards said he wanted two things. Number one was a full house. Look around, we got it. The second thing he said he wanted was an interesting, fast-moving, to-the-point program. We're not off to a very good start on that, though, but hopefully it will improve. My wife, Laurie, and I have put this program together in big effect because Governor Edwards asked us to, and we are truly grateful that he did and consider it an honor. And also it is an honor that he asked me to be Master of Ceremonies, and I don't take it lightly. Right now, if you would, thank you. Right now, the Honorable John Alario, Jr., Louisiana Senate President, will introduce the head table. And while he's doing that, if Father Milano, Jack McGuire, and Ms. Rivers that's going to sing the national anthem will make their way to the podium, we will have that.
The distinct honor of introducing the head table, and I was told to do it quickly and not be a senator tonight. So you just heard from Robert and his lovely wife, Laura Gentry, are here at the head table. We are happy to have Governor Kathleen Blanco and Raymond Blanco. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungas and his wife, Cher. Governor John Bell Edwards and First Lady Donna Edwards. And the honoree tonight, of course, Governor Edwin Edwards and his wife, Trina. And that is all the duty they gave me tonight, so if you want to clap for me, that's okay too.
Thank goodness you didn't have filibuster on your mind tonight, Senator Alario. If you would at this time, please stand. We will have the invocation by Father Cleo S. Milano, pastor of Our Lady of Mercy in Baton Rouge. Remain standing. We will have the pledge to the flag led by Jack McGuire and the singing of the national anthem by Pamela Rivers.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, in this beautiful evening, we pause to give you thanks and praise for all the many blessings that you bestow upon us each and every day. We thank you for the precious gift of our lives. We thank you for the gift of faith. We thank you for the gift of our families and for good and loyal friends. Tonight, Heavenly Father, we ask your special blessing upon our beloved brother, Governor Edwin Edwards, as we celebrate his 90th birthday. We thank you for the gift of his life, his love, and the gift of his friendship over all these years. We ask you to bless him, all of the Edwards family, his children and grandchildren, and Trina, who is his heart. We thank you, Lord, for the governor's life that has been full and abundant. You have made him unique and beloved, for the gift of his sharp wit and intelligence, for the gift of his incredible memory that never forgets a name or a face, for his love of our great state of Louisiana, our people, our culture, and our heritage, for his passion for politics and government that serves the people, for his concern always for the poor and the less fortunate, for his indomitable spirit and enduring legacy. We offer grateful thanks. May the Lord bless the food and fellowship which we share tonight in honoring our brother's 80 years of life. May God continue to bless you, Governor Edwards, with many more happy, healthy birthdays to come. May our celebration tonight only increase our joy for God's every good gift, and most especially for the life of our brother Edwin. In the words of the ancient Latin toast, ad multos annos vivas, gloriosque annos vivas, to many more years, to many more glorious years. Long may you live, Governor, long may you live. May our brother whom we honor tonight know the love and friendship all of us in this room hold for him in our hearts. We ask all this, O Lord, in your holy name. Amen. Amen. Happy birthday, Governor.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say doth that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you very much. Please be seated.
Let's honor this man. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy to the right.
There you go, Governor.
He wants to blow out the candle.
Want to blow out the candle? Come on, I'll help you. Come on. I'll help you. You ready? Go for it. All right. All right. Good job, man.
Where you start here?
I think he started here.
Yep, I'll go ahead and pull all this out of your way. Here, hold on to this arm. There you go. Good shot.
I don't know where, we don't have anything
Our next special guest is a premier New Orleans entertainer of stage, screen, and TV. She has reached legendary status and is a great ambassador for the city of New Orleans. She has a heart as big as the city itself and has put Bourbon Street on the map, if it needed putting on the map anymore. Folks come from all over the world to see her. She has constantly given back to her city, both financially and with her time and energy. Her Las Vegas-style variety show and her club features rhythm and blues, jazz, top 40, and country. Now let's bring to the stage a lady who is celebrating her birthday tonight, 39, Chris Owens.
Thank you so much. Isn't this a wonderful event? How about it for Edwin Edwards? We love him. And you know, I'd like to first thank this beautiful man that has done so much to put all this together, Robert Gentry, for all of his staff that they have worked diligently to make this a wonderful evening for our beautiful friend Edwin Edwards. How about it for him? But you know, for many years I have followed his career, Edwin Edwards. And I love his tenacity, and I love that how he gives his heart and everything that he does. And I love his bigger than life personality. That is one of my favorite. And you know, we do love him dearly, and I appreciate his friendship, because we love him so much that they have a little token of love, my gift to him for his birthday. How about it? There it is, yeah. This is for you, with love. A little, yes. And cheers for his 90th years. How about it, Edwin Edwards?
Not only is Laurie a beautiful lady, a great wife to my best friend, she's a great organizer and is much responsible for the success of this function, but better than that, she's a great vocalist. Tell you a little story. When I was in prison in Oakdale, this man brought her with him to visit me. You know why? She was a vocalist and had a great reputation, and he was trying to marry her, and she was naturally reluctant. So he asked me to help him. And whether you believe it or not, and Laurie, I apologize and I'm sorry, I told her it might be a good idea. And she will tell you tonight that in a small part, I'm responsible for Mr. and Mrs. Robert Gentry. My favorite hymn is The Love of God, and she has graciously agreed to sing it for me tonight, and I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I know I will. Laurie?
Thank you, God.
Than tongue or pen.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Laurie. A while back, Laurie sang on another program on which Governor Edwards spoke, and after the program was over, Governor Edwards approached Laurie and said, "I enjoyed your singing, and I'd like for you to sing at my funeral." Then he added, "but not anytime soon." We have a couple of things. I bet this is the first time you ever received one of these, Governor. It's from Representative Frankie Howard, making you an honorary member of the House of Representatives. And from Mark and Adrian Delestinay. Okay. This beautiful plaque. Our guest speaker tonight doesn't need an introduction. He took office January the 21st of last year and hit the deck running with military precision and unfaltering leadership. He faced a massive budget crisis, 2 regular sessions of the legislature and 4 special sessions. That's enough to drive a guy crazy. The disaster declaration of 56 of 64 parishes, the shooting of 6 law enforcement officers and the death of 3 of them, and the shooting of Alton Sterling. He has led us through difficult times. He has the courage, compassion, and an unwavering Louisiana spirit. Let's welcome Governor John Bell Edwards.
Thank you. You know, when I realized I was going to be between Chris Owens and Edwin Edwards, I said, for the love of God. Governor Blanco, good to see you. Thank you very much for being here. Billy, God bless you. Thank you for being here. Senator Valerio, the President, thank you. First Lady Don Edwards, love of my life, thank you for being here. And Representative Edwin Edwards, we need you on the floor of the House of Representatives. I'll try not to call as many special sessions, but when we call them, I need you there. Look, we are here to celebrate Edwin Edwards' 90th birthday. 4 terms as governor. Now, you just heard Robert tell you what I've been through in 18 months. I'm going to look like I'm 90 by the time I finish. But just to be safe, I know this is a birthday party and it's a celebration and we should all be happy, but I did not eat that cake once I found out that Chef Vitter made it. But I wish all of y'all well. Now look, I just told you that Edwin Edwards served 4 terms as governor. But what some of you probably don't realize, and I'm gonna call off some numbers, and I want you to see where I'm going with this. In 1971, he won governor with 641,000 votes. 1975, 750,000 votes. 1983, 1,561,000 votes. 1991, 1,057,000 votes. I don't know if you were paying attention, but every time he ran, he won with more votes than he had had the time before. So the real purpose for me being here, you don't have any intentions of running in 2019, do you? Because if he's not running in 2019, I feel pretty damn good about my chances of being a second-term governor. Now, this is a celebration, and we are in a good mood, and we should be. But the highest votes Early got in 1991 was when he beat David Duke. And if you were paying attention to the news today, you know what a blessing he did for all of us by beating David Duke. Thank you very much. David Duke, the personification of hatred and discrimination. And Edwin Edwards, the antithesis of that. You saw that on that video. You saw that he was governor because he gave people hope from one end of this state to the other. It didn't matter what they looked like, where they came from, what their mamas and daddies did for a living, or what they made. He gave them all hope. And that's why today, when I travel across the state of Louisiana, people make sure that they know about the other Governor Edwards. And by the way, I've been governor for 19 months. It just started that when I'm in a room and somebody calls Governor Edwards, I realize they're talking to me. I've been turning around looking for you all this time. But he's revered around the state by so many because he made their lives better. He gave them hope, but that's because he governed with common sense and compassion. And he's respected by many, even if they were his political opponents, because they knew where he stood on every issue. And if he told them yes, it was yes. And if he told them no, it was no. His word was good. And I've heard that time and time again. And so these are the attributes that I'm sure inspire all of us to be here tonight. And so for the members of the media who are asking me, why are you here? That is why I'm here. I am here to celebrate the 90th birthday of Edwin W. Edwards, a four-term governor of the great state of Louisiana, who is still revered by many across this state. And in fact, those attributes that I just talked about, they inspire me, and I hope they guide the decisions that I make. Governor, I hope you were pleased when I expanded Medicaid so that 430,000 working poor people in Louisiana have health insurance who didn't have it before. I hope you approved of the criminal justice reform because we've been incarcerating too many for too long at too great an expense, and we can do better. I hope you, thank you. I hope you support my efforts to increase the minimum wage and make sure we're paying women the same thing we pay men when they do the same job. I hope you appreciate it when I celebrate diversity and speak out against discrimination. I hope you appreciate it and support it when I fight for the people of our state. You know, he talked about budget deficits, and I don't know what inflation would do to $35 million, but I think I'd rather have your $35 million deficit than that $2 billion deficit that I had. But more than that, the graceful and dignified manner in which Edwin Edwards has handled the adversity, I should say, that life has thrown at him towards the end, after he left the governor's office. That too is remarkable. It is worthy of celebration as well. So for these reasons, Donna and I are proud to be here tonight with all of you celebrating the birthday, the 90th birthday of the only four-term governor of the great state of Louisiana, Edwin Washington Edwards. Thank you very much, Governor.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a great big, well-deserved 90th birthday rousing round of applause and standing ovation for the Honorable Governor Edwin W. Edwards.
Thank you. 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 What a night. The sitting governor, the top Democrat in Louisiana, his beautiful wife, Donna, the sitting lieutenant governor, the top Republican in Louisiana, and his beautiful wife, Cher, the only lady ever elected governor of Louisiana, KATHLEEN BLANCO. And her father, current Coach Raymond Blanco. My good friend, the longest serving legislator in the state of Louisiana, Senator John Alario. Governor Edwards, if it were not for you, this would be a nice, quiet, small function. But most of these people came here to see you. And I'm glad you're here, and I appreciate your presence. I want you to know, during the campaign, when people asked me about him, I said, he's my fourth cousin. After he got elected, he was my first cousin. He said to me, he said, what am I going to tell people as I go through the campaign? Asking if we were related. I said, well, if they're friends of mine, tell them, well, we're very good friends and close relatives. If you don't think they like me, say, I don't know the son of a bitch. I was joking, but that's what he did. I want your indulgence. I'd like to introduce my family and Trina's family. Hold your applause to save time. Since I'm going to ask each of them to stand as I introduce them, I'm going to start with the grandchildren because they can stand longer. Anna's second youngest son, Scott Henskins, and his wife, excuse me, Lauren. Her youngest son, John Todd, and his wife, Jalen. Stephen's son, Matthew, and daughter, Allison. David's middle child, Christian, and her husband, Ben. And Amanda and Preston. Now, my children, I have 5 children, 8 grandchildren, and 18 great-grandchildren. My oldest daughter, Anna. My oldest daughter, my second youngest daughter, Victoria. My oldest son, Stephen, and his friend, Christy. My middle son, David, and his wife, Laura. David used to be my baby, but Eli took your place. I'm 90 years old. I was 90 years old Monday. Can you imagine this? I woke up on my birthday, 90 years old, and took my 4-year-old child to preschool. Now, next time you meet somebody like that, tell me and I'll show you some white blackbirds. You be seated. Now, Trina's family. Her middle son, Trevor, and his girlfriend, Kennedy. Her eldest, Logan, her sister, Taylor Thornton, and her friend, and her brother, Brett, and his friend. Every time I see them, they have different partners, so I can't remember their names. And and a special lady in my life. You're not going to believe this. But my mother-in-law is 40 years younger than I am. But we love each other. And Trina's soon-to-be stepfather, Carrie Ott. Thank you. It's good to be with you young people. But I'll tell you what, everywhere I go, I'm with young people. But I'm very proud of it. I had a great life. Born in 1927, 3 years before the Great Depression. I grew up in the Great Depression, had some great times. It was tough. Tell you a story. 80 years ago, when I was 10 years old, I had an abscessed tooth. We didn't have the kind of dentistry we have now. My dentist, Dr. Richard Atkins, is here. But in those days, there were no Richard Atkins. And my mother took me to a dentist, and he looked at it, and he said, very bad. I can't do anything with it, but you'll have to take it out. My mother said, how much? He said, well, $2 to pull it and $1 to deaden it. My mother said, okay. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Give me the $1 and pull it out the way it is. And that's what happened. I took the $1 and he pulled the tooth without deadening it. Now I'll tell you something else. It wasn't until 1972 that the gap which the tooth left was filled, because I then had real good dentists. And I'm proud to say the rest of my teeth are all mine. Now, I've had an interesting life. I've eaten with and consulted with 5 presidents and had 3 meals with one who later on became president, Trump. And I've eaten with 5 presidents of foreign countries. I've entertained and spent time with great figures in the entertainment and sporting world, including John Wayne and all kind of people in the industry, Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, on and on the list goes. I've been friends with probably 50 to 60 governors and 200 or 300 members of Congress and thousands of people in this state, for which I'm very, very proud and very humble. When President Carter was in the White House, Pope John Paul came to visit him. The president, being a friend of mine, invited me to spend the night at the White House, and I took my Catholic wife and her Catholic mother and my Catholic mother. They were very devout Catholics. They had a private audience with the Pope. I met with him, asked him to hear my confession. He declined because he said he'd only be in town 3 days. I can't tell you how wonderful my life has been. I have 5 children, 8 grandchildren, 18 great-grandchildren. I was one of 5 children. None of us were born with birth defects. All normal, average people, and I'm very proud of that and very thankful. But I've had, like everybody else, undeserved misfortune. In 1983, my youngest brother was murdered by a drug addict who then turned a gun on himself and killed himself. Never got over it. And then, of course, there were the trials. Now, look, when Leo Honeycutt was asked by my publisher to write the book, he said he would consider it, but he wanted me to know that he thought I was a crook. And I said, well, you're entitled to your opinion, but not to the facts. And I want the people to know the facts. And I want you to write the book and state it as it is. He spent 5 years, wrote 1,700 pages. We had to cut it to 500 and something to get it sold. And it became a bestseller. And when it first edition came out, he called me, and I called him because I was in prison. He couldn't call me. And he told me, I want to apologize. I've made up my mind that I was wrong. You're not a crook. You're an honest man, and you got a bad deal. But some people are never happy or satisfied. Once in the late 70s, in the 80s, in my third term, the state was having financial problems. John and Mr. Thompson remember that. And I was unable to provide raises for school teachers and lunchroom workers and civil servants. We were having a hard time struggling. In an effort to show my concern, I gave up my salary. I did not draw a nickel's worth of salary during the 4 years I was governor. And I gave up my retirement benefits during the 4 years. A total cost of about $500,000. The press was wise enough to understand that and never made an issue of it. But I was at a political function one time, and some guy jumped up and accused me of being involved in a $250,000 embezzlement scheme, which was totally wrong. And I said to him, well, mister, I gave up $500,000 in salary and retirement benefits to serve as governor, and what kind of fool would I be if I had done that to get involved in a $250 embezzlement scheme? Thinking it would satisfy him, he said, well, it must have been more than that. But I want to spend a few minutes with you talking about the trial. I was tried 4 times. In the 3 times where there was a fair and impartial judge, they had no chance. Had 36 jurors, they got 1 vote. But with Palazzolo, who was anything but fair and impartial, it was a dead issue. Mary Jane Marcantel here in the room tonight was the legal aid for the entire trial and can verify what I'm telling you. And what I'm going to tell you will surprise you, but let me tell you something. It's in the record, and anybody who wants to see it can go to the courthouse and read it for himself or get your lawyer to read it. Palazzolo, he allowed the government, when the indictment came out, to hold a press conference to comment about it. Then issued an order forbidding me from talking about it. And during the whole proceedings, I was not able to express an opinion or talk about what happened in the trial for fear of being held in contempt of court. He refused to allow Louis Unglesby, the best criminal trial lawyer in the area, to represent me. No good reason. And then he refused to let me serve as co-counsel in my own defense. He wouldn't let us have water in the courtroom until I passed out from dehydration, was taken to the hospital. When he found out there were people on the jury who wanted to acquit me, he got unhappy about it. Repeatedly badgered one of the jurors, trying to get him to change his mind. He even sent federal marshals to his pastor and pastor's wife and brought them to his office and interrogated them for an hour, trying to get them to say that the juror had talked about the trial in order to find a reason to discharge him. Couldn't do that. So he found one day that the juror had brought a dictionary, a regular standard dictionary in the jury room, and kicked him off the jury for that reason. He allowed 11 jurors to find me guilty. That's the only time in the federal jurisprudence of the state of Louisiana that 11 people have convicted anybody in a federal criminal case. But he wasn't finished. When he sentenced me, he added 2 years to my sentence for something I wasn't charged with and wasn't found guilty of. A process which the United States Supreme Court, in an unrelated case, a few years later, declared was unconstitutional, improper, and could not be done. By that time, I'd already served the 2 years. But let me tell you something. I served those 2 years in Oakdale, 40 miles from Alexandria. And this lady got to visit me every visiting day. And we fell in love. We got married, and Eli is with me today because of that. I jokingly thought about calling him Frank when he was born. But he was so cute and cuddly, I couldn't do it. And decided I'd wait till he got a dog. But the puppy was so cute and cuddly and smart, I couldn't do that either. So we call him Beau, which is French for good looking. Well, the U.S. Attorney, Eddie Jordan in New Orleans, after the trial became the district attorney in New Orleans. He immediately fired 30 members of the staff that were professional employees and replaced them with political supporters, a move which the federal courts declared to be unconstitutional and a discrimination of race and employment practices. Ordered him to pay them $1 million, which he couldn't pay. And the taxpayers of Orleans had to pay it. So to keep from being recalled, he resigned in disgrace. The chief assistant who handled the trial, Jim Letton, had 2 assistants, including the one who handled the last trial, Perricone, that were involved in violation of the grand jury secrecy and lying to a federal judge about it. And Letton had been accused by a federal judge in Houston of lying to her. So after the investigation started, they resigned in disgrace. And Edwin Edwards is 90 years old, married to a beautiful lady with a wonderful family, a host of friends. Now, Trina thinks that's karma. I don't believe in supernatural things, but I'll tell you what I do believe in, the truth of Paul's letter to the Galatians, chapter 6, verse 7. Be ye not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall you also reap. They reaped it, and I reaped it. And now, I sit on the bank of the river, rocking Eli cuddled in my arms, and his beautiful mother sings a lullaby, and in my mind's eye, I watch those who tried to do me hurt float down the river. That's almost as good as it gets, but it gets better. You see, from my Cajun mother, a wonderful lady who delivered 1,800 children as a midwife in the hard Depression times, I inherited a spirit of forgiveness and understanding, and I forgave them. Not once, but as Jesus asked us to do in the 20th chapter of Matthew, 7 times, 70 times, I forgive them. And I say to you tonight, I forgive them again. And I know that when I stand one day before the final judge, who knows it all, who's omnipotent and is all-knowing, I won't have to worry about vengeance, anger, retribution. I won't have to worry about witnesses coming up with false testimony, because the judge will know it all. And I'll know that the verdict will be fair, and I'll spend eternity at peace. That's as good as it gets. When I speak, and I've done it many times, when I got out of prison, Trina and I went to 48 different towns and cities in this state, making speeches for which I was paid, selling the book, which became a bestseller from that wonderful author, Leo Honeycutt, who's done so much to help me. And I know as I stand before you now that repeated polls, even when I was in prison, show that I'm still the most popular former governor of the state, and I'll be that way for 6 more years until John Bell retires. But second to you, John, is a good place to be. But anyhow, I want to depart from that tradition and read something. Something that meant a lot to me, and I hope will touch you as it touched me. Before I do that, I want to say publicly to you, I could not have been lucky or more fortunate but than to have this lady as my wife. You know, people talk about how much money I made and stole and all that other business, but let me tell you what. We have a very simple life. We have a good home in a safe community. My friend Darren and his wife live there. We do not have a maid. Trina does all the housework. She keeps an immaculate house. Trina does the laundry. This son takes care of the garbage and the trash. I take care of the dogs, which I don't like, but I do it for her. And I keep the garage neat and clean and store the tools. And Darren helps me carry the trash away when it gets overloaded. I have a good life. I don't have any complaints. I've had my share of good fortune and my share of bad fortune. Some I deserved, some I didn't. But man, I'll tell you this. I would have walked into prison a happy man had I known how it was going to end. So I want to read this to you. A newlywed young man was sitting on the porch on a hot, humid day, sipping tea with his father. As he talked about adult life, marriage, responsibilities, and obligations, the father thoughtfully stirred the ice cubes in his glass and cast a clear, sober look at his son. Forget not your friends. They will become more important to you as you grow older. Regardless of how much you love your family and the children you happen to have, you will always need friends. Remember to go out with them occasionally, do activities with them, and call them. What strange advice, the young man said. I just got married. I'm an adult, and surely my wife and my family, which we'll start, will be everything I need to bring sense and honor to my life.
It's 10 o'clock.
Yet he obeyed his father. He kept in touch with his friends and annually increased their number. Over the years, he became aware that his father knew what he was talking about. Inasmuch as time and nature carry out their designs and mysteries on a man, friends were the bulwarks of his life. After 60 years of life, here's what he learned. Time passes. Life goes on. Distance separates. Children grow up and become independent. It breaks the parents' heart, but the children become separated from their parents. Jobs come and go. Illusions, desires, attraction, sex weaken. People do not do what they should do. The heart breaks. The parents die. Colleagues forget favors. the races are over. But true friends are always there, no matter how many miles away they are or how long you're a friend. I have never had one more distant from me than when I reached out to find him. They're there to intervene in your favor and wait with you with open arms to bless your life. When we started this adventure we call life, we do not know what incredible joys or sorrows lie ahead. We do not know how much we will need each other. So love your parents, take care of your children, keep a group of good friends close to you. You might send this to your friends. I hope it will help them. You might send this to your friends. I just did. I'll see you, if not before, in 5 years. But until then, you, every one of you, will be in my heart. Because this has been a wonderful night for me, and I'll never forget it. Vaya con Dios. I'm amazed. Everybody should have a 90th birthday, but one like this is special.
I was in the legislature for my very first term when he was in his third term as governor. And I found it remarkable that he always knew how to deal very directly and honestly with everyone. Other governors didn't necessarily do that along the way, but if he could do something for you, he would tell you. If he couldn't do it, he would tell you. And I like that frankness. It was a difficult time for him, as it turned out during that period. But you know, I just saw that he actually had a heart for the poor, and he understood government service and what it meant for people.
Obviously, it was effective. He got elected 4 times. That's in the history books of our state. But Edwin was a guy who always cared about the working people and the poor in this state. He never forgot his roots, where he came from, and he always had their interests at heart.
Many people are scared of crowds. Edwin Edwards loves crowds, and he will perform, and they will be attracted to him. He has that confidence, and he has that skill. That sets him apart. And he accomplished so much in this state as the governor.
Writing in the new Constitution and then changing the method of collecting severance taxes, which brought billions of dollars to our state with other people paying for it. I'm very proud of that. It kept us in balance. People were working. We were able to pay school teachers and civil servants. We took care of business.
In my experience with him, he was a man of his word. He was also very knowledgeable about what was going on in all of state government. He, you know, when you went to him to talk to him to ask about something, he didn't tell you, well, look, I got to check with the Commissioner of Administration or somebody. He'd give you an answer, and you could, he'd either tell you yes or no. And so he was a man of his word when I dealt with him.
He was always our friend. He truly cared about public education. He cared about investing in the future of this state through our children. With Edwin, you always knew where you stood. He told you up front, yes or no, and he always did his homework with us. He knew our issues. We would talk to him about them. He would tell us up front, yes or no.
I was back from Vietnam, and I was a student at Northwestern State University. He came to Marthaville, Louisiana, campaigning his first time. He promised to fix our road between Robeline and Marthaville. And you know what? Today, those head walls on those culverts are still saying 1974. They've never been touched since. He was the best governor that we've ever had in the Marthaville area of Natchitoches Parish.
1980, when I walked in the state capitol as a 20-year-old, I actually met Governor Edwards, and he took time to sit with me And I will never forget that a governor at that time, and he was technically out of office, but he was running again in '83, took the time to sit and visit with me as a young individual, and we've been lifelong friends ever since. Just a wonderful individual.
I'm very, very happy with my life. I'm very thankful I'm in good health. I love being with my baby who's 4 years old and my beautiful wife. It's been a great, great opportunity, and I'm looking forward to the next 5 years.